And
We're recording?
action. Yep.
Are
We're
we live?
recording. Welcome back, everybody, to the Simpson and Cage podcast once again. So,
Are we just? I mean, this is episode 4, right?
yeah, episode
Well,
4.
technically episode 3 because somebody corrupted one, or is it actually episode 4?
I think it's actually episode 4.
Actually, episode 4.
Yeah.
There we go.
Episode 4.
So actually, episode 5.
Yeah.
Since somebody, I don't think I'm ever gonna drop that. I think we're gonna get to episode 100, Steven.
You're gonna be like, oh, it's really episode
It's actually,
101.
it's actually episode 101 because somebody corrupted an hour and a half.
Worth of us yapping.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually don't think it was that great of an episode. It's probably good that y'all missed it, but nonetheless.
So, the first thing that we have to cover is
Since the last time
the coach firings.
we were here,
Yeah.
Taylor Jenkins
Yep.
of the Memphis Grizzlies fired
Gone.
with, I think, 6 games left at that point.
Yep.
And then just, there so go.
Yep.
Michael Malone.
Gone.
In fact, actually, no. Today is Wednesday, the day of Luka returning to the Mavs.
Yep.
That happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, huh?
That is... so that was wild.
Yeah.
I cannot... I was already pretty much out on Denver. I am now entirely out,
Yeah.
which is not a hot take at all at this point.
Yeah.
But I don't think you fire a coach with 3 games.
Right,
There are
expecting
3
to make
games
it far.
left.
Yeah.
Well, did you see the quote from the owner, though?
No, I haven't. What did it say?
The quote from the owner said that they did this to improve their chances of winning the championship this year.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. Is Nico Harrison own the Nuggets?
No, that was wild. And he fired the GM too.
Yes.
The reports are basically that those two weren't getting along. The GM...
Put them both in timeout.
The GM expelled both of them. Not timeout.
Yeah,
Timeout.
fair play.
Timeout. Ostensibly,
That's
you
like a
can come back from.
suspension,
You can
No,
come
yeah,
back
he
from
expelled both
timeout.
of them, yeah.
He said no. They both got expelled. So yeah, reports are basically those two didn't get along. The GM, Booth, I believe is his name. Booth or Boone. Didn't like the rotations, didn't like the fact that Malone basically wasn't playing some of the young guys as much as the GM wanted him to. Malone was, I think rightfully, irritated at the state of his roster, which makes sense, although I don't know if that was really the GM's fault or the owner's fault for being cheap and not wanting to pay KCP
Yeah.
and not being able to retain Bruce Brown and all that. But nonetheless, and apparently also... Malone being the hard ass that he is, and I think Malone's a very good coach, but he's an old school coach, had rubbed some of the players the wrong way. Jokic said that he still liked Malone, but it is what it is. He's gone. I think in both instances with Jenkins and Malone, I don't understand the point of firing a coach this late in the season. I am, in almost any sport, never a fan of mid-season hires. Excuse me, I've got a little something here. Or mid-season firings, excuse me. Because I don't think they generally lead to success unless it's David Blatt for Ty Lue.
Yeah, they don't.
So, not a huge fan of the idea anyway, and I don't understand how you couldn't have waited. Look, man, if you really thought it was that bad, you might have lost in the first round anyway. The West is, I mean, from Houston is locked up to 2, 3 through 8 are all within a couple of games of each other.
Yeah.
Right, as of us, doing this right now. So, you could have taken an L in the first round anyway, and this season was going to be over. I don't think anyone thought, if it was this bad that you were going to, make the conference championship or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
your season was close to being done regardless. And firing a head coach and putting an interim in. Look, if the Nuggets just magically turn this around, it'll be a hell of a story. But, no, I think that's pretty much utterly insane to do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on the firing bit. We talk about this about the NFL all the time. For whatever reason, they decide to fire the head coach mid-season and think that that's going to increase their odds of winning. In reality, let's say that the coach has animosity with the team and vice versa. You might get a game or two of like boosted morale and effort, but then almost every time they just fall off a cliff because of the chaos that ensues, right? And so
Yeah.
with the Nuggets, if you really thought Mike Malone wasn't that great of a coach,
Wait
honestly,
3 more games.
like,
Wait,
Right.
or 7 more
Right.
games, or however long.
you
Like,
waited 10 years, right? So like
Yeah.
Mike Malone's got the best player on the planet, and in basketball that really, really means something. So
and they're
you
not
know,
going to win 50 games.
right.
I'm fairly certain they are out of that running, or maybe very close. I had the standings on
So,
one of these.
anyway.
But yes,
You don't do that, especially not near the end of the season.
3 games left. There's
Yeah.
3 games left. How
So-
many? Your season's not that. Again, I don't understand what's accomplished by this. Other than, I mean, again, if it was so toxic in the building that you just couldn't operate, then sure, I get that. But the firing of 3 games left is insane.
Yeah, that's wild.
Just insane.
And so before, when we made some sort of untethered predictions, I said that I still believed in the Nuggets to make
yeah.
it to the conference championship.
Well, both of us believed in them as contenders.
I don't believe that they're making it to the conference championship anymore. And
No.
so now,
I might be, depending on how it falls,
when the playoffs start and we make our playoff predictions,
that'll be next week.
those will be like our written in stone predictions.
Yep.
You're not going to see the Nuggets on either of our conference championship picks. So.
No, I mean, depending on how the bracket falls, you might not see the Nuggets get out of the first round. We'll
Right.
see how. I mean, if they
If
they
fall
I
to
don't-
4 or 5,
well,
they
so
would be
they're
playing
they,
the
I think
Grizzlies
they are
right now,
They're
right?
4 or 5. No, Memphis is down to 8.
Dude, everything is just
Oh yeah,
going
because
crazy.
firing guys, firing a coach with less than 10 games in the season, not a good idea. Nonetheless, so both of those, we talked mostly Malone there, but both of them we think are crazy.
Yeah.
Jenkins, maybe the writing was on the wall. Reports came out, right? They basically fired a bunch of his staff and hired a bunch of people
Okay.
without
Yeah.
his. So like, and then had to change the offense, all of it.
Yeah, let's
and the
blame-
Grizzlies have been good, but nonetheless.
Let's blame the coach when their best player keeps getting suspended for
He-
weapon
He
celebrations.
hasn't gotten suspended yet this year for that.
Not this year,
No.
but he did.
He did like
A couple
last
years
year,
ago.
Yeah,
He
Jaws
got hurt last year.
Last
But-
year Ja was hurt. Yeah, I mean
And
I
he's
was
still doing it.
yeah. Well, yeah, but
In the NFL, he would have
Everybody-
been fined
I mean he
The
was
first-
fined. He was fined
and then
75.
suspended.
He's been fined. He's been suspended. He's lost an endorsement deal from Nike. But I mean, look,
You can take the jaw out of the streets, but you can't take the streets out of the jaw. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know a lot about Ja's background, so I don't want to. But I'm not so sure that that's an actual.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know
just a
either.
saying, Alex.
I got you. But I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, nonetheless, I was out on Ja when he came back from his 25-game suspension.
Yeah.
Hit a game winner and said I kept receipts, as if anybody.
Cared that much?
Well, as if anybody was questioning the basketball portion
True.
of Ja, which
Yeah.
nobody was. It was all off the court stuff.
Yep.
But we've digressed a bit here. Nonetheless, firing a coach with less than 10 games in the season, neither one of us a fan. Memphis, I don't think either one of us thought Memphis was going to be like a real contender anyway.
No, I would have been surprised if they made it out of the first round.
But nonetheless, both of us now are entirely out if we weren't already.
They
on
might
the
drop. I
Nuggets
mean,
and-
they're in the play-in
and
right now.
Nuggets.
They might drop out of the play-in,
No, so they.
and even if they play
they're
in
not
the
gonna
play-in,
drop.
they're going to lose the first game. Sorry.
To Sacramento
Sorry.
or the first, if they end up 7-8, then they're playing like Minnesota, I think right now. I think they'll make the playoffs. I do think they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they'll win a
Not if
round.
Minnesota's in the way.
No, but it'll be them and Minnesota. Like it's like them, Minnesota, and the Clippers. Like no, the Sacramento and Dallas are the teams that could like play spoiler
Okay.
and knock somebody out.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about that. Memphis
Yeah.
is going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to bounce them in round
Okay.
1. But those are the thoughts there.
So, moving on from that, we are in the final week of the regular season.
Everybody's got 3 or 4 games left.
Yep. So what we'd like to do with this episode is spend most of our time on our NBA honors picks right here at the end of the season. These are going to be those, what did we call them?
NBA.
The big picks.
The NBA awards. I mean,
No, your big takes. What did we call that?
oh,
This is like our NBA honors is going to be like the start of the postseason ranked takes or scored takes.
Oh well, I don't. No. We not the honors. Or we're not predicting. This is our ballot.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm
we're
cool
not
with that too.
No, we're not
Oh, I
predicting.
thought we were
these.
predicting.
No. Just our
Just
picks.
saying what we would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like who we would.
You can tell me I'm wrong, and I can tell you you're wrong.
Correct.
Perfect.
Yeah. We can.
Yeah.
Our fictitious ballots.
Okay.
For
I'm cool with that.
NBA.
I think that's better anyway.
For MVP,
Yep.
I had Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
And then I had Most Improved. I didn't fill out a whole ballot for that because I just didn't. I put one guy, one or two guys on there. Okay, so that's fine. I don't think either one of us had clutch.
No, but I would put Brunson in there.
You put
Because
Brunson.
he's my guy.
Yeah, Steven has decided. Steven was kind of a NBA team free agent fan.
Yeah.
He has chosen the Knicks.
Yep.
I'm not sure why you decided to watch all of this season and choose the Knicks.
No, I'll save that for a solo episode. Why I chose the Knicks.
But yeah, and then we'll do the All NBA teams.
Yeah, I'm gonna do 1, 2, and then honorable mentions because I don't give a crap about NBA Team 3. I'm gonna be real with you.
I don't give a damn about you guys.
I really don't. Like in NFL, you have first team, second team, all pro.
Yeah, that's fair.
If they had a third team, I'd be like, what's the point?
Well.
And so I don't care about third team All NBA personally. So I'm gonna give you first team, second team, and then honorable mentions.
If you ain't top 10, you're trash. That's what Steven said.
Basically.
You're garbage.
So first team, top 5. Second team, top 10. Third team, top 15. All-star, top 30, basically. In the league. I don't think we need the distinction from 10 to 15. If you're outside the top 10 for me, you're just an all-star.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. So, if you're first or second team All-NBA, you have a legitimate argument to be
like a superstar. Sure. Mm-hmm. That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's
Steven said no superstar.
Yeah. You're an all-star.
You're an all-star.
If you're
that's it.
Third team All-NBA.
Fair
All right,
enough.
so let's do the easiest one.
Yeah, MVP.
And let's go MVP.
Yeah, I don't think MVP's not gonna take any time at all.
Do you want to go like 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3?
Yeah. Okay.
4, 4, 5, 5.
We'll do the top 2 because I know they're the same.
Okay.
It's SGA and Jokic.
Yep. Okay. SGA wins for both of us. Jokic runner up
number
for
2.
both of us.
And we're not. I mean, we could pull the stats. We could say that, but you guys have heard it all. That there's no real discussion there.
Yeah.
I am very curious. We talked about this, but Steven wouldn't tell me who it is.
Yep, because I think
mine is almost certainly just the chalk who everyone has as number 3.
Okay.
Yours, however, is
okay. So my number 2.
Third most valuable player.
Do you not want to talk about why 1 and 2? We've talked about it a little bit, but
SGA is going to win the scoring title, and his team's going to win not actually 70 games, but damn near.
Like 68?
65. They've won 65. Actually, I think they've won 66 now because they beat the Lakers last night. They won 66. They're going to win 67 or 68 games. Yeah. And he's the best player, and that team's the youngest team in the league, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have Jalen Williams. Shout out to him for making the All-Star team this year. But he doesn't have a guy that would be consistently considered.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And actually,
little alliteration. Consistently considered like a top 30, a legit second star.
Yeah. And actually, if I pulled this up last week, if you look at the roster stacked up just as like a box score merchant, the supporting cast from a points per game from the other production stats perspective are actually pretty similar between the Nuggets and the Thunder. Funnily enough, I think we would both agree that the Thunder are deeper.
The Thunder are definitely deeper.
But like the second, third, fourth, fifth best player on each respective team are producing at about the same level.
That's actually not terribly surprising. Jokic is the best, him or Luka, generator of offense in the sport. So I am not surprised at all that those guys' production numbers are up a bit, particularly a guy like MPJ, who's just a catch and shoot sniper and can run off screens, all of it. So that's not terribly surprising. But yeah, and then Jokic is I mean, Jokic is Jokic.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
way I see Jokic, and I'm going to use this to set up who my third place ballot is.
okay.
The way that I see Jokic is his game is built perfectly for advanced analytics. However,
he's a
he does not show up on the defensive end the way that my third place guy does, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh, damn. I thought we were going to argue.
My favorite player on the planet right now.
Thought we were going to argue.
Giannis Antetokounmpo is my third place, and I'm assuming now
your
third place. I saw him on the screen, so I figured.
Yeah.
My guy, so Jokic is averaging 30, 13, and 11. So a 30-point triple-double on the season. My guy Giannis is averaging 30, 12, and 6.
And he
is still a menace on the defense. He's going to get first-team all-defense again this year.
Yeah, and really and truly, the crazy part here is, right, so Giannis is 30, 12, and 6.
Yeah.
And he's shooting 60% from the field.
Dude.
Which is just bump.
Yeah, and if you look right, he's still got a 30 PER on the season.
Shea and Jokic all have 30
all
plus.
Above 30.
It is insane what they're doing. They're all insane. Giannis is going to be third. His team's won 40, 5-ish, mid-40s games. But he's awesome. He's going to be first team All-NBA again. He probably will make an all-defensive team again. And he does certainly show up on that and on both ends of the floor like that. He does not generate
other people
the same way that Jokic does, but he is dominant offensively.
Yeah.
So no, we're actually in complete agreement there.
Cool.
All right,
okay.
so 4th and 5th.
So I did 3, so you do 4 and 5.
All right. I had Donovan Mitchell.
Really?
I have him at 4.
Wow.
And I have Cade Cunningham.
At 5?
At 5.
Wow.
So Mitchell, easiest argument there, right, is just simply, even if his numbers are taking a step back, Cleveland, 60-plus game wins. If you've read kind of any articles coming out of Cleveland this year, they'll tell you biggest reason for the increase, obviously Kenny Atkinson coming in, changing the offense. But there's a conversation that Kenny Atkinson and Mitchell have talked about this year when they first hired Kim, is that he sat down with Donovan, and Donovan said, we need to unlock Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
And Donovan kind of giving up some of the keys to the offense.
Yeah.
Mobley, who we'll talk about later, because I definitely have him up for another award. Giving those up, I think, should be, credited some. And he still shows up in huge moments, still has big games, but he's still the best. I think still the best player on that team. Still a guy, certainly still their go-to guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he deserves credit for that, for being on a 60-win team, but giving up some for the good of the team. And then Cade Cunningham deserves a ton of credit for being the best player on the Detroit team that's having the best turnaround in the NBA. And also, for whatever it's worth, once being surrounded by just regular NBA guys, I know Malik Beasley has been good for them off the bench. He also had Jaden Ivey go down after 30 games, so he's been kind of playing without the guy who's supposed to be his wingman. No, I think he deserves a ton of credit for that. So I have him at 5. He is third, if I remember correctly. I took some notes here. He is third in the NBA in assists per game at 9.
Mm-hmm.
And
behind Trae Young and Jokic.
Behind Trae Young and Jokic. So he is getting his teammates involved again once he's actually surrounded by some shooting. And being the best player on that team, I think he deserves that as well. Also being on a team without another super high-end guy.
Right, yeah. I actually have Cade at 4.
Okay.
Because of everything that you just said, and because his supporting cast is so much worse than Donovan Mitchell's.
Sure.
So Cade Cunningham came into the what were they, 30th
They were
ranked
14th.
team?
I mean, they were 14th with him last year, right? Like
He came in.
So in year
Nobody
3
else
now.
there to really help him. My man is going. His stat line is 26, 6, and 9 this year, and he's got them firmly in playoff contention.
They're
gonna
going.
make the
They're going to
playoffs,
make the playoffs, not the play-in. They're like
Right.
4 or 5 games ahead. Like
Yeah.
they are in the playoffs.
So
Probably gonna get smoked in the first
because
round,
I put so much emphasis on value in
Sure.
basketball, not just production. I have him actually at 4. Now my 5 waffles a lot, and so I couldn't put anybody in 5 because I felt like it was there's
who?
a few guys who I could have put there.
I might have a screen for you.
Oh really? Let's see what you got.
I did this for my All NBA teams.
Really?
But one of these tabs.
So
this is
I
great
was
content.
waffling between so Donovan Mitchell was one option. Honestly, Tatum is still having a fantastic year on a 60-win team. They are they almost caught back up to Cleveland in win total.
Yeah.
They're going to finish right behind them in win total. And so I've actually got him there. You know my man, Jalen Brunson. But I'm not going to put him there because of Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, Jalen Brunson was doing the same thing last year, except now he's got Cat. And so
Brunson's been really good.
So the two that are really, really solid are Donovan Mitchell and Jason Tatum. And then
You don't want to give LeBron
We'll talk about LeBron later.
any potential love trying to snag that 5th spot maybe on somebody's ballot? No.
Nah.
I actually agree with you there. I think it should go to.
If you haven't been able to tell yet, I'm the LeBron hater on the show, and which I'm overblowing on purpose, and he's the LeBron fan.
Yeah.
So this is the dynamic that we have, but no, LeBron didn't make it to my top 5.
Nah, he didn't make it on mine either.
No, but so Tatum and Mitchell are the two I was really considering, and then Jalen Brunson was on the fringe there, and so I didn't want to put a 5th. I just wanted to say all of them.
Say it at 4. That's fair.
Because he's got a lot of help. I'm putting at a screen. Jason Tatum has a lot of help. Jalen Brunson now has Karl Anthony Towns. Donovan Mitchell has Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. They're all averaging right around 20 to 25 points a game between them, right? And
100%. Okay, so I thought we were going to argue.
Did you? Who did you think I was going to have at 3?
Well, so I wasn't sure. You made it sound like you were going to go, off the reservation. I thought maybe you were going to put Cunningham at 3.
No.
I thought maybe you were going to say, look at Karl Anthony Towns over here shooting, 40+% from 3.
Oh yeah.
Put my man's up there or something.
Love it.
Thought you were going to do something actually bonkers.
Karl Anthony Towns was the answer to Julius Randle. Julius Randle was not good in New York. Especially not when the playoffs came.
Okay, yeah, definitely not in the playoffs. We'll see.
Cat, my man.
We'll see, buddy.
Best shooting big of all time.
We'll see,
Karl Anthony Towns.
We'll see.
Knicks fan.
We'll see. That's not a Knicks shirt. What do you think? Knicks fan?
Knicks fan.
Gymshark, my guy.
Gymshark. This is my podcast T-shirt. Yeah. My uniform.
Well, apparently this is mine too.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't argue at all. That was boring.
It was fun.
In the comments, let us know what y'all think. If we got the order right, if
there's somebody else you would put on the ballot, if you're crazy enough to put somebody besides Shea or Jokic at number 1, let us know.
If you're stupid enough to put Jokic at number 1.
Whoa, hey, wow. just insulting our potential millions.
Half of the audience?
Just insulting our fans, Steven. Come on.
No, legit, in a vacuum, both of them have a shot to be MVP.
Oh, they're excellent cases.
But because Jokic has won multiple already, Shea gets the nod.
Did I bring my phone? That's the wrong one. I was gonna look up on my phone, make sure we had the odds in front of us too.
Okay, so we've got MVP. What do you want to go to next?
So
Defensive Player of the Year.
Let's talk about Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
I want you to go first here. Because I want to know who you picked, and then I'll ask you something afterwards about another particular player.
I'm forgetting who was in the batting odds. I think Draymond is top of the betting odds, which I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Damn,
Personally.
we're not going to fight about anything.
If you...
It is insane.
Look at us.
Okay, it is
Look
insane.
at us right now. Look at our faces.
It is insane. But
Draymond Green is like 30,000 years old.
He was minus 300 to win when I checked last night.
On a not particularly great defensive team, not doing anything particularly great.
Look, they're seventh in defensive rating. They're a very good defensive team, and they've been, I think, in the top 10 for most of the year. But before we talk about Draymond, because if you can't tell, I might have a bit to say about Draymond and that entire thing. It kind of infuriates me, actually.
I think it's just because he hasn't kicked anybody in the balls this year.
Well, I mean...
He's on good behavior.
Draymond himself can also be infuriating, but the idea that he's the betting favorite is also infuriating. So who do you have it as then, before I lose my mind on Draymond himself?
I think I saw Jaren Jackson was the second betting favorite.
I saw Mobley, but him...
Did you?
Because
I'm actually going with Mobley.
Ah, damn it,
Dude,
Steven.
Can you get out of my head today?
No, Steven, what do you...
Actually, no, stay in my head, because you remember last episode, I told you to be in my head about the video name.
You told me to be in your head about the video
Boom!
name because
he's in my head now. Look at that. Okay, so Evan Mobley.
I have Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
So they're the eighth... they have the eighth best defensive rating in basketball. He is the anchor of that defense.
Right.
He is super, super versatile. He's a big. He can defend the rim.
Yeah.
He's got. He is fifth in blocks. There is on that list of better defenses. Shea and the Thunder are number one, but there is not another contender for this award besides Draymond, who I'll get to in a second, that has whose team is better defensively.
Really?
There's not. They're eighth. The Warriors are seventh. Orlando's up there at like 2. I think the Pistons are actually up there as well. But there's not anyone else that is a contender for this award whose team's defense is better.
Yeah.
I think he is the key to that defense. I think his ability to switch when they can take, yes, he has Jared Allen with him a lot, which assuredly helps. But he allows them to do something that the Lakers did the year they won the championship with Anthony Davis, which is play big or small, but without ever having to actually truly be small, because he's not a horrific mismatch when you can't hunt him in switches.
Right.
And so I think he deserves a ton of credit for that, and he's been
I have a
awesome.
feeling he's going to show up on another one that as well.
And he's been awesome because of that on both ends, but he's particularly defensively. So I would give it to Evan Mobley. On the Draymond piece of this, it is infuriating to me. Because, like I said, when I checked last night, Draymond was minus 300 to win. Draymond Green, as someone who has been reading articles about this award all year long, the contenders for this award were Victor Wembanyama was going to run away with it. He was a landslide betting favorite.
Should have won last year.
I don't know about that. The Spurs, the thing with Victor, and I'm a Spurs fan, is that the Spurs defense has still been so bad. It's hard for me, even as much as I like him and as good as I think he is defensively, to say that he should be the win defensive player of the year. But nonetheless, Victor Wembanyama was going to run away with this. He gets the blood clots. He's not going to make the games requirement right. He's actually still leading the league in total blocks.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Nonetheless, I was just checking it earlier today. He's still,
Dude, that was like that year Derrick Henry got hurt in the 8th week.
And then stayed up there for ever.
Until week 14, he was still leading the league in rushing yards.
So, anyway, point being, it was going to be Victor. All year, the two guys behind him were Mobley and Jaren Jackson Jr., or potentially Dyson Daniels in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's going to win. He's going to get steals leader this year.
He is going to get steals leader. He's doing some remarkable stuff. And Lou Dort. Those were the other candidates. That was your top 5, and I'm shaking the table that the camera is on. For Draymond Green to all of a sudden, because he complained about it on his podcast and complained about it again campaigned. I shouldn't say complained. I should say campaigned for himself on the podcast
propaganda
and a press conference post the game, and then had when the Warriors and the Lakers were playing on national television a week ago, had Reggie Miller on TNT basically being his hype man for the award for the entire game.
Bro.
For him to jump into the odds infuriates me because it is, to me, it is a sign of a remarkable level of incompetence from the voters if this guy actually ends up winning.
Yeah.
Because there's only two paths. There's only two paths to this. Either what the voters are saying is we ignored a guy who was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate who played on a marquee team, is one of the biggest names in the sport, and we just ignored it all year. We just weren't recognizing that he was having this good of a year defensively. Or they're saying he campaigned for it for 2 weeks and we don't know any better, and because he's got more name recognition than Mobley and Jaren Jackson Jr., who's already won the award once, we're just going to give it to him.
Yeah.
Which is incomprehensible to me. Every single person who votes on these awards covers the league.
Yeah.
They get paid to watch basketball. You can't sit here and tell me you haven't watched the Warriors play all year. And no one thought this dude had a case until 2-3 weeks ago.
Yep.
That's infuriating. Besides the fact that the on the court stuff with the Warriors, the winning that would have been a compelling reason on the court to put Draymond in this, all started when they brought on another defensive specialist.
Yeah.
So, why are we giving that to... Why is Draymond going to get the boost for that? So that infuriates me, and I think that's ridiculous, and that will be one of the most disappointing awards if it ends up going to Draymond that I think I ever remember.
Really?
I cannot... It came out of... I didn't like in football across sports for a second when Josh got second team All-Pro but the MVP, and Lamar was second in MVP but first team All-Pro. I didn't like that kind of cross of logic.
Yeah.
But at the very least, Josh and Lamar were the MVP candidates basically the whole year.
Yeah.
Draymond is just going to come out of nowhere, bitch about this award for 2 weeks, and get it as a lifetime achievement.
Yeah. It's almost like in Mission Impossible when Tom Cruise takes the face off. He took Wemby's face off and it's actually Draymond under there. That's like how the voters are acting right now.
I mean, it's insane. Well, what's more crazy is I at least have not heard Draymond at any point say hey, look, the reason I wasn't campaigning for myself earlier is because I thought Wemby was just going to run away with it, and I was cool with that because Wemby's this great defensive talent. We're doing stuff we've never seen, changing the way people play on that. Draymond hasn't said a word about that, and it's not like he's shy.
Yeah.
So, I really also think that Draymond just realized Wembanyama went down, waited a couple weeks, and was like, oh, I have more name recognition.
Yeah.
I have more clout.
Yeah, I bet I could slither my way in
Mobley and Dort and
this?
Jackson Jr. and Dyson Daniels.
Bro, is this Micah Parsons of the NBA? With the podcast?
No, because Micah ain't that calculated.
Okay, fair play.
Yeah, Mike ain't that guy. Mike is just up there, dog. Mike ain't got no producers.
Yeah.
Micah sticks a console and a mic in front of himself and just says, "Hey, dog, what if everybody was in the PS5 party with me?
This is true.
What if everybody was here with me? Let's ball."
Yeah, this is true.
But no, that's how it strikes me, which is another reason why I would dislike Draymond himself. And then the part with the media and the voters, if they actually end up putting this man on, again, if he sneaks in and he ends up being 4th or 5th on most people's ballots, that's fine, whatever. But if he ends up winning this award, because he bitched about it for 2 weeks, that's infuriating. That's insane. And to me, that is you should revoke those people's votes. If those people cannot prove that they had him in the race the whole year,
Yeah.
if you can't show me a tweet or an article you wrote or something that shows, hey, no, I actually thought he was like number 2 or 3 all year, and then Wemby went down, or I thought he was number 2 or 3 all year, and then the defense got better at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because it's just insane. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Okay, so once again, we are on the same page. What's next?
So I have one more thing on the Defensive Player of the Year.
Go.
Okay, so of the candidates that we talked about, Mobley, Green, and Jaren Jackson Jr. Are anchors to their defense.
Yes.
And Mobley and Jaren Jackson Jr. are like shot blocker anchors, and historically that's who wins this award.
Okay.
We don't really give this award to a ton of perimeter guys.
Yeah.
When we do, it's like Michael Jordan, who had his home stats faked that year. If you remember that article, came out a couple months ago. Or it's like Marcus Smart, another guy who also ended up campaigning for himself, which I'm less mad about because it was really more Boston fans doing it. But historically, we always give this award mostly to like big guys that are rim protectors.
Yeah.
And that makes a ton of sense because there is really no more valuable skill in defensive basketball than being able to protect the rim.
Yeah.
That being said,
as an individual,
there's nothing right, and team defense is almost always more impactful than your actual individual defense.
Yeah.
But we all recognize that a guy like Dyson Daniels or a guy like Lou Dort or a guy as a throwback like Gary Payton can be very, very impactful defensively.
Yeah. Amen Thompson, the Thompson brothers.
I would really like the NBA to create another Defensive Player of the Year award.
Ooh.
Name it after Gary Payton. Call it the glove. And recognize the perimeter defenders.
I actually dig this.
For what everyone, because that is obviously, it's still a skill. It is still impactful. And
Chris Paul would have had like 3 of these.
Well, Marcus Smart has a Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm not saying he wasn't he was a great defender. Drew Holiday has been regarded as one of the best probably the best perimeter defender, point of attack guy of his generation.
Yeah, did you see that clip of him playing defense on a dude facing the other way?
I did not see that clip.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
insane.
I'm going to need to show you. For those of you that haven't seen it, y'all need to go look this up. Drew Holiday, backwards defense. He goes to close out on a perimeter guy, and they blow past his lead foot.
Yeah.
So rather than trying to switch foot,
he just
backpedals in this stance.
That's hilarious.
And the dude is behind him, and he's just looking behind, like he's
That's
looking
crazy.
over his shoulder,
That's
and he
insane.
locks this dude up.
That's insane.
Not even facing him.
Drew Holiday's awesome. And he's made all defensive teams, and he has those accolades. It boggles my mind a bit that somehow we're going to end NBA history. And Drew's not going to have a Defensive Player of the Year. And Marcus Smart is.
Yeah, true.
And again, it's not even that I think Marcus Smart shouldn't have had one the year he won it, whether or not there wasn't a great rim protector or anything like that. It's just that that skill set doesn't get recognized consistently enough.
I'm with you.
And I think we're good enough now about recognizing the difference in those things that there should just be another one.
Yeah.
It should just be the Gary Payton Award where we
I'm so down
reward
with that.
individual
I'm actually so down with that.
defense. And I think it's probably more appropriate now, given that so many teams do the Boston Celtic just matchup hunt, right?
Right.
Find your weakest defender and go after him. That if you have a guy who is excellent at obviously he's not the guy they're targeting for that, but then is disruptive.
Right.
I think I think those guys, perimeter defenders, deserve a recognition.
I think
I'd like the NBA to do that.
Dude, okay, Gary Payton Award, right? Perimeter defenders.
Yeah.
Paint protector award.
I think you can just keep the Defensive Player of the Year award. I don't think you have to. It's basically already paint protector award.
I know, but just it's
I mean,
marketing.
you could call it the Hakeem or the Dikembe one if you wanted. Mutombo award.
Finger wag.
I would call it the Hakeem because I think
Mutombo
he's
Mountain.
maybe the greatest. But I think you can keep because I don't think
Yeah,
it's
doesn't he have the most blocks in history?
yeah
Hakeem does.
Hakeem
Yeah.
until Wemby's done.
Probably, yeah.
Until
unless
Well,
he's done.
He's not. Yeah, by
We
all
hope
reports,
not.
yeah.
We hope not.
And
but
by all reports, it looks like he's going to be fine.
Okay,
But nonetheless,
I'm so down with that. Can I
Yes.
digress briefly a little further?
yeah.
This is something that who brought this up? I'm forgetting who brought this up. JJ Redick brought this up, including screen assists into the game. I think would
As
be
a new
another
stat?
cool stat to kind of like how you're saying on the defensive end, we don't recognize perimeter as much. On the offensive end, it's kind of hard to recognize
Screening
big
is-
guys who are good at screening.
Sure.
Right.
Call it the Rudy Gobert.
Right, screen assists, I think would be a cool stat to add.
So I don't think. Yeah, I think that's a fine stat to add. In fact, you could probably find it somewhere.
Right, but make it like a mainstay.
But you could, have more people recognize
Right.
it. That's fair. I guess my thing is like I don't know what kind of, I'm not gonna lie. Even if it's a good stat, even if it's the right stat, I feel like you just get made fun of for that. To be honest, I'd be like, this guy Rudy Gobert led the league in screen assists every year, and somebody would just like pop out of the corner and be like, "Shut up, nerd!" Like just. Like,
I mean,
and just
what if
be
I
like,
said Rudy Gobert leads the league in offensive rebounds a year?
yeah.
Would somebody also pop out and be
No,
like,
I don't think
"Shut up,
anyone.
nerd"?
I don't think anyone would pop out and say, "Shut up,
'cause
nerd."
you
Because I think
clean the offensive glass.
I think somebody, and maybe it's just maybe we need to create screen assists, talk about it more, and we just got to pummel it into people's
Yeah.
conscious.
I
But
mean, that's
I
how
really
you
feel
do
like,
it. You just hit the next generation with it.
but I really feel like screen assists would just, I feel like people would just make fun of us for it.
I think it's a
But I don't think you're, like,
it's a good
wrong.
show of value.
I don't think you're wrong.
I think it's a good show of value. Okay, so we talked about defensive player of the year. What else we got?
Well, you didn't. Did you do a most improved player?
No, but I feel like I have a feeling I know who your most improved player of the year
Who's
is.
my most improved player?
Evan Mobley?
Yeah, it's Evan Mobley.
Okay.
They've shifted the offense to put him in a more Draymond-like
Yeah.
role.
Yeah, he's
right?
averaging, 20 and 11? Or 19 and 11 or something this
Yeah,
year?
he's 19, 11,
Yeah.
and 3 assists, but his usage rate
Yeah.
is up, and they're running the offense through him. And I think he's the best defensive player in the sport. So
Yeah.
Okay, most improved.
I'm with you on that.
Makes
Yeah.
a ton of sense.
I didn't make a whole ballot or anything for that, but
No,
I
that's
can
all right.
just read his mind. So, all
That's
right,
all right.
what's next?
It's the All NBA day.
All NBA teams.
Okay, so my first team, again, as I said, I didn't like the logic in football of Allen winning, MVP, but then being second team.
Yeah.
And then, Lamar, being second and
yeah.
first and then second. So my first team, to be logically consistent, is exactly the same as my 5
Really?
MVP ballots.
Mine is too, actually. Oh.
I can understand the argument more because like last year I think Tatum made first team All NBA, but Brunson was 5th on people's
Yeah.
ballot. I can understand it more in basketball. It bothers me in football when they're the same position and that happens. However, in this instance, I have not done that.
Okay, so I actually left somebody out of my fringe here, and I need to amend my fringe MVP ballot because I think the same way you do, but I have left him off of my fringe MVP ballot.
Brunson?
And that's Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
That's who I failed to mention when I went through my
Okay.
fringe MVP.
That was the person I thought
Spot
you might say
five.
is third.
No, not 3. Dude,
Because
Giannis
I
is
thought
3.
because I thought you were like I
Giannis
said
is
I
3.
thought you were gonna go off.
I love Ant.
Ant's awesome.
Personally,
And Ant's been awesome this
Personally,
year.
I love him. He's top 5 in scoring average.
Yeah, he's number 4.
He lost Cat, and they are still in the playoff hunt.
And they're still going to be in the playoff hunt.
And so,
and we'll see where exactly it is they end up. And he's become one of the best 3-point shooters in the sport this year.
he has made the most threes
yes.
this year.
He's taken and made, but he's shooting. I think he's shooting like 10 a game, and he's making like 3.9. Like he's shooting a very high percentage on a very high volume.
Absolutely fantastic.
It was about. I mean, like from a scoring, distribution, right? He was a attacker.
He's my 5.
So he's your 5th.
F that. He's my 5.
Okay.
And then my honorable mentions would have been Tatum, Brunson, and Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. So then, who's the first team All-NBA you have?
Okay, so as we all know, they swapped the rules, and so now you don't have position locks on first team, second team, third team.
Doesn't have to be guard, forward,
right.
center.
Me personally,
even likes the position locks.
I don't like them as locks, but I like them as guidelines.
Sure.
And so if I feel like somebody who the two guard positions are already filled by 2 people, but I feel like there's a guard who's doing way better than one or both forwards.
Sure.
Then I'll swap them.
That's fair.
I called it a wild card, and so I'll call it out here.
All right.
Okay.
So you got.
So I've got at my guard is Shea and Ant.
Okay.
Okay. At my forward, I have Giannis, Tatum.
Okay.
And then I have Jokic at the center.
And you have Jokic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me give you a little bit. I wrote a little bit on these. So Shea, easy, best guy on the team. Best guy on the best team, should win MVP. That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
And he lost Karl Anthony Towns, still has his team in playoff contention, averaging 27 points a game. That's top 5 in the league.
Yep.
He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the game. Tatum, I was waffling on him versus the other guys.
For MVP, yeah.
For MVP, but
lock on first team.
Just straight up production, he still is
27 points a game.
Averaging 27 points a game on a 60-win team. So, to me, he still is...
And he's a good two-way player.
One of the best forwards in the game. Right. For my other forward, I have Giannis. That's obvious because he's number 3. Not even really in the MVP race as far as the media would have you would be concerned.
Well, and the odds, right? And look, Shea and Jokic.
But he still is carrying his team. Dane got hurt.
Guys, he's 30-12 and 6 on 60%.
So yeah, and then Jokic in the hunt for his 4th MVP potentially.
So we're gonna jump around a little here just because you had a guy that I also have on the All NBA team, but I don't have him on first or second. I have him on the team you don't care about.
Okay, cool. Who's that?
Ant.
Okay, that's fair.
I have him on 3rd.
Okay, why is that?
So my first team, like I said, it's exactly the same as my MVP. So it's SGA, Jokic, Giannis, Donovan Mitchell, and Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
For all of the reasons that I just mentioned.
Yep.
My second team is Mobley.
Okay.
LeBron, Tatum, that's where I have him, and then Steph is the guard. Okay. And then I did put one of your boys. I actually moved, I put Towns.
Really?
On second team. So Towns has been, we haven't talked about a lot about Towns, but Towns is, I can't read those stats there, but he's 25 a game, 25, 12, and 3. Him
really
coming
closer to 13.
Yeah, 25, 13 and 3.
Yeah.
And he's shooting 50 and 40.
He's shooting 42% from 3.
Yeah, he's insane.
That is stupid.
Helping the Knicks to have a top 5 offense this year, being really the perfect piece on their offense to get them to be a poor man's Boston and space the floor.
Yeah.
Now, his lack of defense, I think, has hurt the Knicks.
Yeah, 100%.
Particularly,
they're asking Josh Hart to do
a
lot,
and look, it's Brunson and Towns were kind of hard for me because they're both excellent offensive players. Brunson because of his size, Cat because he's Karl Anthony Towns, hurting their defense. It was hard to be as bad as the Knicks were before Mitchell Robinson came back defensively when you have OG, Hart, and Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
That's 3 really good defenders, and to not have a good defense pre-Robinson coming back, they've gotten themselves up to, I think, 13th now. So they're kind of gaining back towards respectability. But to start the season off, they were like 18th, like 20th in the first half of the year. Like, that's tough when you have those three guys. And in large part because Cat's not a good interior rim protector anchor to your defense. But he is excellent offensively, and he's been excellent and super efficient all year. So I have him on the second team. I have Steph and then I guess James and Tatum. So I really heavy on the forwards here on the second team.
Yeah.
Between Mobley, James, Tatum, and then Towns, who's center forward.
Yeah.
But James is 25, 7, and 6 on 50% from the field, and shooting remarkable.
No. 25, 8, and 8.
Oh, my bad. 25, 8, and 8, which is hilarious given that his career averages are 27, 7, and 7. Shooting 50% from the field, shooting 38 from 3 there. LeBron James turning himself into a stretch 4 in the last 2 years is stupid. Nonetheless, I still think that is super impactful and that he's been the best player on the Lakers maybe before the Anthony Davis trade. Obviously, the second best since Luka. But he has still maintained a really high level of production. And that team, I believe, is going to finish third in the West.
Yeah.
And that's where
in all likelihood.
In all likelihood. And that's where my knock on Ant is. I had a hard time moving him up on the teams when he is kind of fighting for that play-in. To be fair, so is Steph. Right, and the West is super packed.
Yep.
But I just think Steph's still going most of the year without Jimmy Butler, going most of the year without really kind of a second guy to help take it off. And while Ant lost his second guy in Cat, he got Julius Randle. And Julius Randle in the regular season has been fine. Julius Randle in the playoffs, another matter entirely. But taking time to incorporate there, they had some bumps in the road. They got DiVincenzo. So I think Steph overall has been a little more impactful versus. Are you full the plus minus?
I looked at it.
The plus minus.
I looked at it the other day.
Oh.
I just wanted to see.
Yeah. So that's my thing with Ant. I do love Ant. I actually think you could actually argue that he's the most improved. At him adding a 3-point shot and becoming like awesome at it. Like him, Ant offensively, I think had two. One of them was a legit flaw. Not a great distributor yet. And then the other one was the 3-point shooting was fine. I think it was like 35 or 36%, but it wasn't like a full blown strength. Yeah. Him going from being like an okay 3-point shooter to one of the best high volume 3-point shooters in basketball is remarkable and deserves a ton of credit.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
to be fair though, he's averaging
Steph.
27 a game this year. He was averaging 24, 25 last year. So
yeah,
like if you just box score merchant it, he hasn't improved his
the production a ton
immensely,
per game,
but he's improved his efficiency.
He has, he's improved his efficiency a lot, and so I want to give him credit for that. But I just think Steph and LeBron, and then Tatum's obviously part of that's also the team success. He is the best player, and I don't think Jaylen Brown has been quite as good this year.
He's I think 22 a game right now,
and so I
give
those guys. So I give those three guys kind of the nod over.
Okay. Cool.
Ant.
I won't bring the roof down, but that just sucks.
And then I actually did have a third team. I know you had honorable mentions.
Let me go through second team.
Oh, you have second team too.
Second
that's
team.
Right.
So
okay.
let me go through second team, and then you can do your third team, and I'll say who my honorable mentions are. So my second team, my guard is Brunson Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell. Fair. Brunson, he plays for the Knicks. He's 26, and we don't really care about rebounds for tiny guys, but 26, 3, and 7, which, for a dude who's like barely 6 foot, is fantastic. Anyway, top 5 offense in the league. Donovan Mitchell, best record in the East.
He's got to show up somewhere.
I don't have him higher because of the
lack
rest of his team's success.
Set of the supporting
production,
cast.
right?
That's fair. Yeah.
My wild card is Cade Cunningham because he's a guard, but
Sure.
I've got
He's also 6'6", so you could slide him in
big
there
guard,
forward.
big guard.
Big guard.
Yeah, we've already talked about Cade Cunningham. At my center, I have Cat. We've already talked about Karl Anthony Towns. He came to New York. He's averaging 24 and 13. He's also top 10 in the league in PER.
Yes, he is.
So, as far as efficiency, he's definitely, within
He's been really good.
the
He's been
elite
really,
of the league.
really good.
Now, my forward spot, I have two dudes, and you can waffle really based on what you care about.
Okay.
I have Mobley or LeBron. One of the two.
Okay.
I couldn't, pick one or the other, and
Sure.
so I didn't want to disrespect either one of them. I think
got you.
LeBron is having a fine year. I think he's been a liability on defense for most of the year. Mobley has been really improved
That's
this
fair.
year on the best team in
Mobley's
the East, and he's the best, arguably the best defender in the league
this year.
I care a lot about defense because basketball is a two-way sport, and so
The LeBron defense, particularly before Luka there.
before Luka,
that's fair.
Right after Luka, he hasn't had to do as much on offense, and so it gives
been much
him
better defensively.
He still, however, if you've looked at transition buckets against the Lakers, they still are like a bottom-feeding team in transition buckets.
Well,
part of that is on 40-year-old LeBron.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, he can't. Yeah, I mean, what do you
But
want? You want him doing the chase down block?
I'm not going to give him a pass though, just because he's
40?
old. Though.
Man's got cobwebs on his knees.
But he doesn't get a pass just because he's 40.
I mean, that's
okay?
fair. I mean, it's fair. I mean,
if you're in the NBA, you get criticized for being an NBA player.
That's fair. That's
and
fair.
so when I look at LeBron, he's the level of play that he's been able to hold up over,
is
his
remarkable.
age is,
but that doesn't mean
but I'm not just going to give him like a bump because he's old.
That's fair enough.
That's how I feel. So those are the two guys that were like really teetering for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's fair. So difference there is Steph.
Yeah, I don't have Steph
on first or second.
He's my honorable mention.
He'd be an honorable mention.
Yeah, he's my honorable mention.
Okay, so my third, I have Brunson on third.
Okay.
Right, next best guard.
Yep.
I have Halliburton on third, so I'm now heavy on the guards, I guess. I have Ant.
Yep.
Halliburton, interesting fact. So he is he is number 3. Cunningham's 4, I believe, in assists. Halliburton's 3. Of the other guys in the top 5 in assists, so it's I had this
Trey, Jokic, Cunningham, Halliburton, and then who's the fifth?
I've got to get these.
Like James Harden or something.
Might have been leaders. Oh, this is great content.
Yeah,
right
you've got way too much going on here, sir.
Yeah, I do. Look, I was doing research. That's huge.
While he's doing this, I just want to bring up.
Where'd it go?
If
we
had this whole discussion about LeBron, whether or not the Lakers are better without him, and I brought up the plus-minus stat, which I think is comical. Bron is still negative plus-minus on the year.
He is.
Ant is plus 244 on the year. So,
fair enough.
Depending on how much you care about
per game.
Plus-minus.
Right. All right. No, so right. Cunningham is 4.
And then
Harden is 5.
yeah.
Right, no. So all those guys, top 5. Trey, Jokic, Halliburton, Cunningham, and Harden.
Yeah.
All right. That's your top 5. If you then go to your top 5 in turnovers. Right?
I like where you're going with this.
Take a look at this. Top 5 in turnovers. You're going to find that the trend is Trae Young, James Harden, Cade Cunningham.
LeBron, who is sixth in assists.
It's listed 6th in assists. So it's LeBron and then and then Anthony Edwards at 5.
Yep. And then Jokic is down here at 7,
okay.
right?
So everybody else that's in the top 5 for assist,
right.
Trae Young, Cade Cunningham, Jokic,
is also
and James Harden
close
is
to
also in the top.
turnovers.
Yeah, and in the top 10 for turnovers.
Yes. Where I still haven't seen him. Oh my goodness.
He's not in the top 20.
Dude, who's this? Aaron Rodgers?
He's not in the top 20. Halliburton gives you
That's impressive.
all of the upside of his assist without any really and truly of the downside
That's really impressive.
of the turnovers. He is averaging this year 1.6
Oh my
turnovers
goodness,
a
that's
game
unheard
to
of.
9 assists. That is Chris Paul like
For a primary ball carrier is
level
insane.
level of efficiency.
Yeah.
So he had a rough start to the year, but Indiana again on another team who Nick Wright made a hilarious. He did his tiers today, and he had the Pistons and the Pacers on the same tier, and he named the tier combined, still not a contender. Which is kind of true if you think about it. Like if you combine the two rosters, right?
Yeah.
So you have like
you would
Cade
just bring
and
Cade
Hall-
over, right?
You'd have Cade and Hallie. Oh no, you'd probably
put Cade.
Duran. You'd probably
Okay.
take Duran, right?
Okay.
You take Duran from Detroit. But yeah, he said combine these two rosters, still not contenders. So that tells you like Halliburton's been awesome. Struggled to start the year, but he's been awesome since. Again,
Yeah.
top of the league, one of the top assist guys. Doesn't turn the ball over.
Cool.
Deserves massive credit for
I'm
that.
super down for that if I cared about third team.
Him and Cunningham were the 2 point guards that I actually wanted the Spurs to go trade for this summer, like earlier, I
Yeah.
should say, before the season.
Oh, Halliburton would have been. I mean, I'm not.
dirty. It would have
I'm
been
not
dirty.
saying
It would have been
De'Aaron
dirty.
Fox is not going to be great with.
He will.
with Wemby,
I made a whole video
but
on
he's
that,
not
but
as much of a distributor
I,
as.
Cunningham or
Yeah.
Halliburton would have been awesome,
Yeah.
and a little closer in age too as a Spurs fan. But nonetheless, so Brunson, Şengün, Halliburton.
Oh, you didn't say him before.
Şengün deserves.
Hey, you got to get somebody on
Okay.
the 2 seed in the West, huh?
They're
Yeah.
the 2 seed. They've won 52 games. He is their best player. He's 19. I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. He's 19-10, I think, on the year. And then he's another 7 assists, I believe. Like he's really good. And Şengün deserves a ton of credit for that as well. So I had him third, and then Jaren Jackson Jr., who I think has actually passed Ja as at the very least this year as the best player on Memphis. Memphis did a really impressive thing, I think, last year when Ja was out, which is they went full in on actually developing some of their young guys and their other 2 stars to be ready to carry a load between JJ and Triple J, I should say, and Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
And I think Triple J has kind of continued that. So he rounds out my third team. I also would have him in the top 3 on Defensive Player of the Year, so it would be really weird to not give him credit for that as well.
Yeah.
So that's the third team. Just to run it down again: Brunson, Şengün, Halliburton, Ant, and Triple J on the third.
Okay. So we didn't differ too terribly much other than Ant.
Yeah, you
Anthony
had
Edwards,
'cause
I
you
have
had
him way high.
on the first team.
Right. Well, he's top 3 in scoring.
I mean,
or
he
top
is.
4 in scoring.
Yeah, he
right?
is. He's fourth. He's
On
fourth in scoring.
On a legit, like, not great team.
That's
Outside
I
of
mean,
himself.
I guess that's where me and you probably differ a bit. Like I am not that high on Karl Anthony Towns. I think if he's your second best player, you've got a ceiling. He's not as bad as Julius Randle in the playoffs, but I don't know that he's super marketed of an improvement over him, particularly with what he gives you, or rather doesn't give you defensively, combined with his propensity to foul.
Well, I will say...
And so the supporting cast in Minnesota is the same supporting cast, except it's plus DiVincenzo and plus Julius Randle minus Karl Anthony Towns. So I'm not as willing to be like, everybody. Like, that team just went to the conference finals last year. So I'm not like
This
that.
is true.
That supporting cast just went to the conference finals, flip out a couple of pieces for Cat.
But honestly, though, and we've talked about this, last year I really feel like the West was a rock, paper, scissors match.
I mean, sure.
And they built their team
to beat Denver.
and then they got Denver.
And then they got
if
Denver.
they would have gotten OKC, we would have been getting the brooms out.
They would
I'm
have
just
gotten
telling you, bro.
swept.
I'm just telling you, bro.
They would have gotten swept.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, maybe, but still.
They might end up playing them this year and
they might
get the brooms out.
Whoever ends up playing OKC.
Okay, yeah. So we didn't swap that much.
No, so
yeah, I'm just high on Ant. I like Ant a lot. So
I think Ant's great. I think Ant's great. I probably have Ant higher if we just ranked who we thought were the best players.
yeah, okay.
and
You
not.
didn't take like in a vacuum without team success. You'd be like, okay.
I'd probably take.
You'd probably put him on the second team.
Probably. I might have. If we did it, that'd be tough. Because obviously, if we were doing something like that, I'd toss Luka in there too, so that kind of bumps everybody down one.
Okay.
But yeah,
I probably like if we had a sliding scale between team success and individual production for all NBA, I probably slide this way further than you.
Yeah.
I probably slide closer to individual production, and you slide
a little further
away from individual production. I'm not saying like you're.
No, it's not all team. And to be fair, like talking MVP versus like the NFL with Lamar and all that. Like I do have more team success. I should say is more important for like MVP than it is for all NBA. When you're differentiating these guys, I think a lot of these lines are so close.
Yeah. Okay.
That I'll take.
That's fair.
A guy like Steph still having a remarkable year with nothing before Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. And, if I would have done a third team, we probably would have had the same 15 guys. And so I think we agree on that. Who the elite guys are in the league. We just disagree on order based on our preference.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so this was a really boring episode, everybody.
So we never argued.
Yeah, we didn't argue once.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, and because we didn't argue, Steven didn't make fun of me or poke at my button, so I didn't go enraged at anything, which I honestly appreciate.
Do you?
I mean, Steven, it's not that I don't mind getting passionate about certain things. You're just up here needlessly saying pointless things, like ending an episode with Devin Hester's not a Hall of Famer and then just walking out is not.
That's really funny.
Ridiculous.
You actually convinced me on that one.
Yeah, shit, Steven.
No, you actually convinced me.
Yeah, no shit.
It's the best guys at every position make the Hall of Fame. I'm with you now on that. Yeah, I'm with you now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can I get a 1? We still haven't done. We need to do the records. Oh, also.
Well, we've only completed one take.
Wow, it's just
and
mine.
we've got 2 pending.
So we've got the contenders.
Right.
And what did we say the parameter was? Parameter was
because I made a bet with you on contender, right?
Right, second round. It's right, second round. We said you have to at least make the second round.
Yeah.
Is that what we said?
Right.
To be a contender. Yeah. How the bracket shakes out. Oh, I texted you this, I think, but segment idea. We gotta find a way to make these takes somewhat funnier, but we gotta give each other like a last out before the take goes on the record.
Okay.
And then if you don't take it, then you're you're married to that take.
Okay, got it.
And then I don't know, we call the segment Left at the Altar.
Left at the Altar. I kind of dig that.
Something stupid or something like that.
But yeah, so the running total right now is
it's 0-1. The only take is the Super Bowl. We've done one take. It's
right.
The Super Bowl.
So we've only had one big take that has come to pass.
Sure.
The other take was who we think contenders are, and I was the contrarian that episode and made the bet with you that
because you said the Warriors were, and I said I didn't think because
right.
and this was immediately after the Butler trade.
Yeah.
It
was like 8 games after the Butler trade.
Yeah, it was not super deep into this. So the Warriors looked like that, and then I said the Lakers were.
Yes.
And you did that.
Right.
So we should update that. We got 3 games left in the season. Do you still? You obviously still hold that the Warriors are an actual contender.
Well,
there's no reason not to.
I'm not backing out of a bet. There's a difference between a take and a bet. I'm not backing out of a bet.
Hold on. What was the bet? What did we bet?
Well, just the bet was on a take.
Yeah, but what? But what?
And I told you what I say right now. Hold me to it.
Yeah, no, I got you. I get that. But
no, I was saying,
what did we actually wager?
I don't think there was a
didn't even
payout.
Push. Oh well, then it's not a bet. It's not a bet.
Okay, let's do push-ups. 20 push-ups.
Oh, do push-ups. I'm lazy.
10? 10 push-ups.
We'll figure out a wager. We'll figure it out.
So the take between us two right now that's going is Warriors versus Lakers. Who's the contender between the two? And the way that you lost is if your team doesn't make it out of the first round of the playoffs.
Which right now, if the bracket held,
then they'd be playing each other, which is actually, in my opinion, the most entertaining and interesting outcome to our bet.
Well, okay, to our take.
Right.
But if that's the case, I'm not gonna lie. I'd rather it be in the second round than the first. Well, or the conference championship. Like that would be the best. Because I would be willing to like redo the take and just make it a Lakers Warriors take versus the contender status nonsense.
No, but that's the beauty of making early predictions.
I mean,
and then
sure.
letting history unfold in front
sure,
of you.
but it would be But I'd rather see LeBron and Steph if they're gonna play again in the playoffs, and they've played each other a lot.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it in a conference finals versus
I think
like
that would be
the
cool.
first or the second round.
I think that would be cool. One, it's not going to happen this year. Two, because I'm telling you, just trust me, it's not going to happen.
maybe we'll see what the bracket looks like. The Warriors could end up
At the 5 or the 4?
well. I think the 4 is hard for them to get to, but yes, I think they
Like
still
the 5.
could. But they could. Well, they could also drop. Like they could drop to like 7, and then
I suppose.
and then still end up
Yeah.
on, the other side of the.
I suppose.
And still end up where we're seeing them in the
Yeah.
second round or third. If they
Okay.
dropped all the way to 8, they get OKC in the first round.
Yeah.
And then you're continuous. Then I would extend an olive branch for you to get out of that.
I don't need one. Now,
Okay.
here's the thing about me. Once I make a take, Alex is talking about left at the altar and stuff.
I want to give you.
It will not be often that you see me abandon a take.
Yeah.
Unless a catastrophic injury happens,
That's
I
fair.
will likely not abandon a take.
We're not gonna let you. We're not gonna let each other just abandon any take.
Right.
But I'm not gonna lie. If the Warriors somehow drop to the 8 seed,
I'm holding it.
I would extend an olive branch to you to be like, look, man, they're playing OKC
If they drop to
in
7
the first
though,
round.
Are you going to extend one?
No, because they're playing the Rockets, and no one thinks the Rockets are
Okay.
a contender. No. You don't get to.
So
you don't get to
basically-
drop it. You don't get to drop the take if
No.
they're playing.
Okay, so my point
No,
here
OKC
is...
is the only team.
Right, that's my point.
OKC is the
That's
only
my
team that
point.
you get to drop it against. OKC is the only team
No,
that
I'm
you
going to
would get.
stand on 2 feet.
I.
Stand on business.
10 toes down, Broussard. Do it.
No, that's Broussard's thing. I stand on business.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. That's all we got today.
Perfect.
We're gonna go check in on how badly Luka has been slaughtering the Mavericks.
Yep.
At 25, I think at half.
Yeah.
When we started this, so let's see what he's at now.
Yeah. If you made it this far in the video, in the comments, let us know who the clutch player of the year is.
Oh yeah, we didn't do that award.
All right. Love y'all. See you next time. We're out.